Manipulators are not always loud. They do not always storm into your life with obvious cruelty or threats. Often, they arrive quietly, cloaked in charm, subtle suggestions, half-truths, and emotional misdirection. They make you doubt your instincts. They twist your words. They make you feel guilty for setting boundaries, or selfish for wanting peace. They drain your energy while pretending to care. And by the time you realize what's happened, you've given far more than you ever received. But the Stoics knew how to deal with this long before psychology named it manipulation. They understood that the only true protection against deceptive people was internal discipline, emotional self-governance that neither reacts impulsively nor explains excessively. Stoic wisdom doesn't tell you to confront manipulators with rage. It tells you to master the one thing they can't influence, your response. And it begins with silence. Strategic, composed, powerful silence. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you." That sentence holds the essence of Stoic strategy. Manipulators feed on reactions. They live for confusion. They twist logic to keep you emotionally invested, to keep you doubting, chasing, explaining. But the moment you stop reacting, when you stop supplying emotional fuel, you shift the dynamic. And the Stoic does exactly that, silently, strategically, unmoved. So how does one actually handle a manipulator like a Stoic? First, you observe more than you speak. Manipulators rely on emotional momentum. They throw in a subtle jab, a guilt trip, a flattery that feels off, and they watch. Will you take the bait? Will you rush to defend yourself? Will you question your own judgment? The Stoic doesn't. The Stoic pauses, observes, studies the behavior before reacting. Seneca wrote, "No man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity." In the same way, we are only deceived by manipulation when we trust too quickly, speak too soon, or reveal too much to those who have not earned that trust. Second, you detach from the need to be understood. Manipulators thrive when you desperately want them to get it, to see how they've hurt you, to understand your side. But that desire keeps you entangled in their game. A Stoic understands. Not everyone deserves your explanations. Epictetus said, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth." But manipulators are not seekers of truth. They are seekers of control. So the Stoic stops wasting energy on emotional persuasion. You do not try to make a manipulator see your worth. You show your worth through your detachment. Third, you set clear boundaries, quietly and consistently. Not all boundaries need to be announced. Sometimes the most powerful boundary is a change in behavior. You respond slower. You share less. You avoid being alone with them. You don't justify your distance. You simply maintain it. Manipulators want access, not necessarily closeness. They want leverage, not intimacy. The Stoic denies them both, with calm, with consistency, not as a punishment, but as self-protection. Fourth, you don't reveal your emotional triggers. Manipulators study you. They test reactions. They look for soft spots, places where your self-worth is tied to their approval. Maybe it's your need to be seen as kind, helpful, forgiving, or the bigger person. The Stoic removes those hooks. When someone tries to provoke, the Stoic doesn't flinch. When they flatter, the Stoic doesn't lean in. When they bait with guilt, the Stoic doesn't bite. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. You may feel the sting internally, but you do not perform that pain externally. You remain still. Fifth, you let their discomfort speak louder than your reaction. When you begin withdrawing, when your silence replaces explanations, manipulators notice. They often escalate. They might become nicer, more charming. They might try new tactics, passive aggression, false vulnerability, or even love bombing. The Stoic recognizes this not as sincerity, but strategy. You do not need to react. You watch. The more you say nothing, the more their tactics unravel. And in that unraveling, they reveal exactly who they are. Sixth, You never play their game. Manipulators love turning your strength into a weakness. If you're kind, they call you naive. If you set a boundary, they call you cold. If you detach, they accuse you of being cruel. The Stoic sees through this noise. You don't need to defend your decency. You don't need to fight for your reputation in their eyes. You are not here to prove anything to someone who distorts truth to maintain control. You rise above, not with ego, but with emotional sovereignty. And finally, you walk away, fully, completely, without guilt. The Stoic exit is not loud. It doesn't require a final message, a dramatic block, or a long explanation. It is decisive, quiet, strategic, a simple refusal to remain where truth is distorted and your peace is taxed. You don't owe manipulators closure. You owe yourself distance, and you grant that not through anger, but through clarity, through calm, through the internal conviction that your energy is no longer available to anyone who uses it against you. This is what it means to handle manipulators like a Stoic. It doesn't mean you become hardened, bitter, or cynical. It means you become disciplined. You don't react just because you're provoked. You don't explain just because you're misunderstood. You don't chase just because someone pulls away. You let people reveal themselves. And when they do, you believe what you see, not what you hope for. You don't need to confront every manipulation. You need to outgrow the need to respond. You don't need to expose them. You need to stop exposing yourself to them. You don't need revenge. You need restraint. And that is what breaks them. Not your anger, but your absence. Not your performance, but your peace. Because manipulators can control people who seek chaos, but they cannot control someone whose silence is stronger than their mind games. So stay silent, stay strategic, stay stoic. Let them spin. Let them guess. Let them lose access to the version of you that once explained, once pleaded, once stayed too long hoping they would change. And when they feel your absence, not your wrath, not your words, but your stillness, they will know the game is over. You've mastered yourself. You've risen above. You've handled them like a Stoic. And you've won without saying a word.